The Port of New Orleans has a distinct advantage. It's not only located on the valuable Mississippi River, but it's also the only seaport in the country where 6 Class I railroads meet. Access to Union Pacific, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, Canadian National, CSX, Kansas City Southern, and Norfolk Southern means the port can easily receive and distribute goods via rail or water. Its large imports of steel and natural rubber from Asia have fueled the growth in containerized ag goods for two-way trade. As you'll hear in our interview with Janine Moreau Mansour, there are large volumes of product moving to overseas buyers at the Port of New Orleans on the Mississippi River.
We are a multi-dimensional port. We handle break bulk cargo and containerized cargo. Bulk product that's handled at our facilities is relatively small compared to what's handled in our jurisdiction. So last year we handled about 200,000 tons of bulk agricultural commodities, whereas within our maritime jurisdiction, about 30 million tons of total cargo was handled, about 24 million of which was bulk commodities.
Is it a lot of different commodities? Is it corn, soy? What regions are you getting it from?
It is. It's a lot of bulk ag commodities, various commodities. Corn, Louisiana agriculture is one of our main core industries. So it's a lot of corn, it's soybeans, rice is a big one. We have the distillers' dried grains, the byproduct of ethanol. Really, various types.
You're becoming more specialized in cargoes, is that correct? Or containerized, I guess?
We are, yeah. We're trying to capitalize on all the bulk commodities that flow on the river. Over 60% of the nation's agriculture exports flow on the river. And so we're trying to capture some of that ag commodities that's already moving and containerizing it. There's a big opportunity for containerized ag exports.
Explain to me why that is. You were mentioning something earlier today about the ships that come from Asia. They bring steel, they might bring rubber,
Sure.
And they go back empty. So now this is the opportunity for containers to go back with something in them?
Exactly. There's several forces at play, actually. So for us, we have a lot of imported steel coming from Asia. That's our top import commodity overall. And going outbound, grain is in high demand in Asia because of the huge population and the demand for American agricultural products. And so they load ag products outbound. And then on the container side, we see the containerized agricultural products market is growing for a number of reasons. I've read that about 10% of the nation's exports are currently being containerized, nation's ag exports. The ships are getting larger, the containerized ships are getting larger, so shipping lines have to fill more slots on their vessel. And because of the trade imbalance, there's a lot of empty containers that end up going back to Asia. And so having those empty containers, shipping lines are turning to agricultural exports to fill those empties to go back to Asia.
What's the biggest difficulty with shipping those projects to Asia? Is it the time difference? Is it a fluctuating cost? Is there something that is a hurdle?
Mainly just the loading. And so from a vessel standpoint, the shipping line wants to turn the vessel as quickly as possible. And so the supply chain has to be efficient enough to have the loaded containers ready to be loaded to go back to Asia. Empties, getting the equipment readily available to load is a big issue from an operational standpoint, because if you're sitting in port and you're a vessel, you're just trying to get back into your trade. And so just the quick turnaround in terms of the loading.
You mentioned that the drought wasn't necessarily a big issue for you. Why was that?
Mainly because it was more of a major issue for ports north of us on the river. For example, north of Cairo, there was a barge draft restriction, and so shippers weren't able to load as heavy. Barge traffic is very important to us because cargo, like mostly steel and other products, can be discharged directly to barge, and then they go upriver on the inland waterway system. And having that barge draft restriction because of the drought, the low water, did affect us, but not nearly as much as ports that are more bulk ports.
Mainly going up the river then?
Correct, for us, yes.
I know you probably get asked this question a lot, not only here but in different parts of the city, but when you look back to Hurricane Katrina, are you as powerful as you were before that? I mean, are there any lasting impacts that you see here?
Mm-hmm. You're right, we do get asked that a lot. And Katrina was in 2005, so we're 7 years from Katrina now, and the city really is better off now than it was prior to Katrina. We were told, August 29th, 2005, after Katrina hit, that we would actually look back several years later and see that we're actually stronger because of it. And no one believed it at the time, but it's actually true. There's been a lot of investment in New Orleans post-Katrina. The population has grown. We're actually the fastest growing city, according to Forbes, in 2011. There's been a lot of investment due to the cheap natural gas in Louisiana. So on the manufacturing side, a lot of chemical companies have invested. A lot of young professionals have moved to New Orleans too, that they stayed after helping out from Katrina, and then they've invested in New Orleans, and there's a lot of entrepreneurship. And as far as the port goes, our volumes are better than they have. Our container volumes have grown rapidly since Katrina, our export volumes as well. So it's a positive story.